From California broadcasting throughout the country with special visual effects. Tonight's Sunday show includes guests Craig Klein, Melissa Judge, Steve Todd, and Diego Knight. And now, the man who has never given up fighting for his dream, Mackenzie Joseph.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Sunday show, Never Give Up. My name is Mackenzie Joseph, and today's subject is how to write a book and get it published. Why is it so important to discuss this subject? According to experts, there are 3 things we must and should do before we die. Are you nosy to know those 3 things? Stay with us tonight, enjoy the show, and let's discuss together this important subject. In the meantime, I'd like to invite you to clap your hands and give a warm welcome to Miss Lisa, our special guest, and Mr. Scott. Hi guys, it is so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Welcome to our special show, Never Give Up.
It's exciting. And
I'm
you've
excited to hear about it.
got a really nice, happy audience here tonight, too.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Today's subject is how to write a book and get it published. But before getting started with the subject, we are going to play a game.
Oh, I love games.
Me too.
Each of you will have only 2 opportunities to answer what are the 3 things a person must and should do before he dies. After that, if you miss 2 opportunities, you will be out of the game. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, on your mark, set, go.
Oh, I'm going to go first. You should travel, learn a language, and make a will.
Wrong answer.
Oh.
What about you, Scott?
Wow. Okay, so you eliminated 3 good
Yeah.
ones. I'm going to say get an education,
That's a good one.
get married, and buy a coffin.
Close, but not
That'd be
enough. Close, but not enough. Last chance for you,
Oh,
Lisa.
gosh. I'm going to think outside the box. Publish a book. That would be exciting to do. It's important to plant a tree, leave something behind. And before you die, you should donate an organ.
Bingo! We have a winner! Congratulations! Let's stand up and celebrate.
Excellent.
That's so exciting.
Wow. Good choices.
Wow.
Thank you.
I got 2.
Even the loser gets one.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
You played so well. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Well, you had good guesses too.
I'm still buying a coffin.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to get the coffin.
Okay, now let's continue with our first subject, writing a book. Why do you think it's important to write a book? Scott, Lisa?
I'll go first. I think maybe depending on what your topic is, if it's a personal memoir, maybe something to leave for family to read about their heritage.
Yeah, that's a nice reason.
Yeah.
Maybe to share knowledge that you have so that people can learn and benefit from your experience.
Okay, I agree. In my opinion, I believe everyone should write a book. And here's why. It's because everybody has a different story to tell.
It's true.
That's true.
And for instance, Lisa, if I ask you, to tell me your life story. There will be so many amazing things to tell me,
That's true. How did you know?
and all of those things could be shared with the world.
That's true.
That's the reason I think everybody should write a
Those are
book.
good ideas.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
good ideas.
In my case, I'm the author of 3 books.
Great.
Yeah. The first one is The Easiest Way to Learn and Teach English and Spanish.
Oh,
And the second one is The Easiest Way to Learn and Teach English and French. And the third one, Personal Development of Wealth, Success, and Happiness.
oh,
But the first books that I wrote are based on education. Because I have been spending 20 years being an excellent teacher, helping thousands of people to learn a language.
Interesting.
good knowledge to share then.
Yeah, and I'm very happy to make this book because I have been thinking one day when I will get retired, and I can look back and I can say, hey, I do this,
Look what I did.
and that can remind me of what I have been doing in the past, right?
That's right.
And beside of that, I can leave this memory for other people so they can continue in their learning process to learn English, Spanish, or French.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
Good
impressive.
background.
And the third book is Personal Development. Is based on my life story. Is based on my life story.
Well,
Like
it's
you
3
said.
more books than I've written.
Yeah.
We
And
will-
everybody has a story to tell, so
It-
that's a great accomplishment.
Exactly. Thank you so much. There is a story behind those books. I will tell you furthermore. But right now, we are going to teach the audience that is not difficult to write a book.
Oh,
Right?
Interesting. I would have thought it would be very difficult to write a
Yes,
book.
me
Not so
too.
much writing it, but getting it from beginning to the end to the bookstore.
it's kind of a daunting process to me.
Yeah.
I've never done that.
Okay. It is not difficult to write a book. We will tell you the step to follow after commercial break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. So, if it's not difficult to write a book, why people are hesitant to make one?
I don't know that it's not difficult.
Probably be the same reason that we were
Yeah.
unaware of what it takes to write a book. So maybe that's a roadblock for people that, you know what, I don't know what to do. I'm just not going to do it.
Or maybe what to write about. Maybe it's
No, good idea.
challenging to come up with the idea that you think really makes sense to share.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, for me, it seems
Yeah.
like a really long process. And I'm not sure I know how to get from the beginning when I have maybe an idea and then getting it all the way through to getting a book in someone's hands.
Well, I imagine you got to have an editor in there somewhere to correct your
Yeah, like where do you-
punctuation.
I don't think I know how to find all those parts to make it work.
In my opinion, people are hesitant to write a book. Reason number one is because they lack of information.
Exactly.
agree.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much what we're saying.
Yeah, lacking information is something very important. anything that you want to do in life, if you lack information, you cannot move forward to achieve it.
That's true.
Correct.
Agree?
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
That's exactly right.
And the second answer is, to me, is lack of desire.
Oh.
All the time we procrastinate things to do, things we would like to do, but we postpone all the time.
Well, that's true.
Maybe my life isn't interesting enough, so why should I even write a book? Something like
Yeah, I
that.
think a lot of people think that.
Yeah.
Yeah, desire is very important when it comes to write a book, because when people think about, oh, I'm going to write 250 pages, they say, oh my gosh, that's a headache, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Psychologically, that can let you down, right?
Absolutely.
That's true.
Because you think about the 200 pages that you're going to write.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah. So in order to fight this procrastinating thing, if you discipline yourself and you write 1 page at a time, over a year, you will end up writing your own book.
There you go.
Right.
Agree?
Set smaller goals
That's
rather
right.
than trying to take on the whole
Breaking
basket.
it down.
Exactly.
Like that old adage about eating an elephant. It's just one
Exactly.
forkful at a
Right.
time.
Exactly. Now, we are going to show you the step to follow to write a book. Step number 1, you need to make a list of the subject you are going to talk about. Step number 1. Step number 2, you need to create the size of your book, and the margin, you need to pick the margin that you would like to set in your book.
So as you're typing it, it's filling the theoretical book as you go.
Exactly.
Oh, I see.
Exactly. And step number 3, you need to pick a nice title for your book that can attract your audience.
Good point.
Yeah, and the title should cover all the subject
Right.
that you talk in your book.
And be intriguing.
Exactly.
That is,
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and the last one is choose a nice cover for your book, because they always say don't judge a book by its cover, right?
Right.
Correct.
But if you see the cover of a book very crappy, very ugly, would you buy
Right.
that book?
No, we do judge the book by
We
its
do.
cover.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
And the wine label.
exactly. So we need to make sure that the cover of your book will be very nice in order to attract
Something
your
attractive.
customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, after doing all of this, what we need to do, we need to choose letter size or custom size for your book. If you're writing an educational book like mine, you can pick letter size. But if you're writing a book for motivational speaking or the story of your life, you can pick custom size.
So like maybe a smaller size book for a memoir, or maybe a different size book for a children's book or something?
Exactly.
Okay.
There are many people. It's up to them to choose the size of the book they would like to share with the world, and there are many sizes to pick when it comes to create your book. But I would
does
suggest
the font play? Your font style, is a certain font more appealing or easy to read for certain people?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And you need to pick the audience that you're going to share your book, because you
seems
cannot
important.
write any story in your book and share with everybody.
Right.
You need to pick an audience.
It seems like once you know your theme or topic and your audience, that's going to dictate the
Right.
kind of the font you would choose, the size of the print you would choose.
Sounds
the
like
size
the
of
hardest
book.
part is figuring out what your theme
What
is.
to start with. Yeah.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Exactly. That's correct. That's correct. And after that, what you need to do is proofreading your book. You're proofreading your book, and you can pay a company to proofread it for you, or you can ask for a friend to proofread it for you before publishing your book.
Right. That's important.
That's
So
very,
do you
very important.
recommend writing on a laptop or a desktop computer, or going old style for people who remember what a typewriter is, that sort of
Or
way?
pen and paper.
Or
Yeah.
pen and paper.
Yeah, that's a good question. The old side will be good, but if you use the old side, all those information that you will put on paper should be passed in the computer. So try to avoid doing two works at the same time.
So electronic is the way to
Is the way to
Because
do
that's
that.
how you'll have to
That's
submit
correct.
it, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Once you finish to proofreading your book, putting it in the computer, what we need to do is copyright it. For instance, when I first writing my book, I got the copyright in the U.S. Copyright Office. This is the copyright certification. And I like to invite the audience to have a look to the copyright certification so you guys can see how the copyright certification looks like. Please have a look. The copyright book that I have is because before giving it to a friend to proofread it for me or to a publisher, I need to be sure that my work is protected.
Oh, that's an interesting step.
So someone doesn't steal your idea.
Yeah, I
Similar
wouldn't have thought of that.
with trademark.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
I
It's
wouldn't
very
have thought of that.
important. It's very important to copyright your book after you finish your work in the computer, and then when you copyright your book, you have two ways to go. You can pick a publisher in order to publish it for you,
Right.
or you can do it by yourself.
I know a lot of people who've self-published. I just wasn't sure how they did it.
Exactly. So
What do you recommend?
I will recommend to self-publish your book. Many times ago, it was very difficult for a writer to get their book in the marketplace because the traditional book publishers, you needed to contact a literary agent, and the literary agent needed to contact the book publisher, and the book
They get thousands
publisher.
of books, don't they? So it's hard for your own book to be seen, maybe.
Yeah, because you needed to wait for approval, right?
Right.
So it was very difficult. But today there are many modern publishers, and they can get your work and they can publish it for you in Barnes and Noble and Amazon and Google.
That's right.
And you only pay $600 or $1,000 to do it for you.
What kind of cost was involved with the copyright?
The copyright is about $55.
Oh, that's
Oh, wow.
small part.
$55. So you can copyright it by going to uscopyright.gov/registration. That's the way to go.
And then you just submit your work.
Yeah, here is on the screen we can see
right.
how the copyright
Oh, I see.
office set it up in order to put electronically
Right.
your book, and automatically they will send a receipt to you saying that you have your book registered before them.
Wow, that's exciting. That's an important step.
It is.
I would
I like the
imagine
idea of being in charge of getting
Yeah.
it published myself. I kind of like the idea of I want this, put this much effort into a book
Uh-huh.
that I'd want to get
Right.
it out there. So the self-publishing part is really attractive.
So when
Yeah.
you submit for your certification, there must be somebody in the agency that does a quick proofread to make sure that this isn't a copy of somebody else's.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. To be honest with you, I don't think they do that. When it comes to all they do, they get your work, they publish for you. For sure, they're going to ask you, did you copyright your book?
Right.
To make sure that that information they get,
Oh, okay.
they are going to is protected before publish it. They always ask you for that. And there is another way you can do that. If you don't want a publisher company do it for you, you can publish your book on Amazon. Kindle is for free.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because when you publish it in Kindle, the loyalty they're going to pay to you is very high. If you compare the loyalty payment, Kindle and private publishers company,
Yes.
publishers company, they're paying you a low royalty.
Is that because they have to go to the expense of doing a physical, tangible run of a book?
That's correct. That's correct. For Kindle, you publish it, and all the royalty, almost all the royalty, are yours.
Wow.
And you can market your book if you have time. Mostly people,
See.
when they don't have time, what they do, they pay a company, and that company publish the book for them, and the company market the book for them. But in order to do all of these, you need to pay them.
I see.
So because I don't know, and I'm sure the audience doesn't know either, your latest book, how long did that take you to write?
It took me a year to write my first book. I will tell you the story right after commercial break. Hi, welcome back to the show. I hope you guys enjoy our first subject, how to write a book and get it published. Now we are going to move on to our next subject, donate an organ for transplant. And Lisa has been an organ donor, and I have been asking her to stay in order to continue with this great subject. Lisa?
That's right. Been an organ donor for a very long time.
Now, the question I would like to ask the audience, if they had to give an organ for transplant to a stranger, will they do it?
I don't know. I mean, how will you? It's a difficult decision to make.
Exactly. Most of the time, people are afraid to donate an organ when it comes to a person they don't know.
Oh, I've been an organ donor since I learned to drive. That was just one of those boxes you could check when you got your driver's license. So since I was 16, I've had that organ donor box checked. So for me, it wasn't a difficult decision, but I understand for some people it may be.
Yeah, and what motivating you to give your first organ to people?
I just felt like, to be honest, once I've passed, I don't need those. So if I could help someone else with a new eye or a liver or something that would help someone else prolong and enhance the quality of their life, that was something I was willing to do.
That's very nice of you. That's very nice of you. If somebody asked me, Joseph, would you donate an organ to a stranger? I would say yes, I will do that, just like you. But in order for me to donate an organ to a stranger I don't know to save his life, I need to make sure that person has the quality that I was expecting from him. Because I'm the type of person that like to help other people. If I'm donating an organ to somebody, I need to make sure that person is going to use the rest of his life helping others or help the world become a better place.
So you'd like to help people who will continue to pass it forward.
Exactly, because it's like when you're walking down the street, you donate a penny to a beggar.
Right.
And the next day you pass by the street again, you see the beggar again
And
asking for a penny. Exactly. So
Yeah.
that person that you're giving the penny, he or she is not doing anything to change his or her life.
I see.
So that's the problem in here. If I have to donate an organ to somebody, Lisa, I need to make sure that person is going to use his life or her life to do something for other people, helping other people.
And how would you go about assessing that, though?
Well, I will do my homework, ask information about the person or asking question to the family in order to know if it's worthy to donate my organ to that person.
I see.
Yeah, that's the way.
Often the question is, will you donate an organ for a family member? Because it's likely that you have the same tissue match or blood match or something that makes you a good match for someone in your family.
Yeah, yeah. That I will do. That I will do. Here's a story about a person that I know that donate an organ to someone he loves very much. There was a guy named Raphael. He married a very nice girl from a very nice family, a wealthy family. And back then, when he married her, he didn't have a penny because he was raised in a very poor family. It turns out, after he married the lady, the family was against him because, as I say, he came from a very poor family. But you know, he was a very hard-working person. He never missed a day to work, always taking care of her. And the family was very mad at him and at her when they got married.
Oh, that's too bad.
Now, Susan's father passed away, and he left all the money to Susan's name, and it made it worse. All the family was over Susan and asking her to give the money to the family because they thought that when Susan is not with Raphael anymore, Raphael will take the money and spend the money on other stuff, and the money belonged to the family.
I see.
And later on, it turns out they noticed that Susan has a bad heart condition. She needed a transplant, And if she didn't have that transplant within a month, she will pass.
Right.
And guess what happened? They searched all over the hospitals. They could not find an organ transplant.
Oh,
And suddenly a miracle happened. Susan received an organ.
no. From who?
Here's the question. After she receiving that transplant, she received a note. And when she was reading the note, she did realize the person who donated his heart was Ben Raphael.
Oh.
And it was all over the news. A man suicide to give his heart to the woman he loves.
Oh my goodness.
That's a true story.
Is it really?
It's a true story.
That's shocking.
It's a true story. And the family was saying, oh, wow, we didn't know that Raphael was a nice person. Yeah, after
So
treating him so
selfless.
bad. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. That's the true story of love.
Wow.
I will donate my personal organ to somebody I love very
And his
much.
life.
That's life.
Wow.
Now we are going to move on to the next subject. Before going to the next subject, let's go to a commercial break. It is a pleasure to have you here again, and I hope that you enjoy the second subject. Donate an organ is very important. And now we are going to move on to the third subject. And Lisa is here together with me. We are going to discuss this subject about planting a tree.
This is one of my favorites.
Me too, sir. Me too. I like planting a tree because when you plant a tree, Lisa, you cooperate with the nature.
I love that image.
Exactly.
In my family, we had a tradition when each of my children were born, we planted a tree. And my older son, it was some kind of evergreen tree. And even though we didn't live in that house any longer, we went back and we would see how big the Taylor's tree had gotten.
Interesting.
We called it Taylor's tree. And it got taller than the house. And there's something really nice about feeling that sense of permanence, that even when we might move off the earth, the tree is still there as a reminder. And then my other three children are triplets, so we planted 3 matching trees in our yard at a house that they grew up in. Yeah.
Don't you think each person, Lisa, plant a tree? Don't you think we can change the pollution that
for
we
sure.
have in the world today?
Absolutely. So my example was that it was kind of a romantic thing to do, kind of a nice sense of improving the earth for each child that was born, but definitely that was always part of our thought behind it, was that whenever you can add trees to the planet and helping with the environment.
Exactly. Because before, when we cut the trees, we never thought that was going to cause a problem to the planet, right?
Right.
So all the trees that we have been cutting, we cut them because we wanted to offer to the society a better life.
That's right. Needed the lumber to build homes.
Exactly.
Or clear the property.
Exactly.
One town that I lived in had a rule that whenever you cut a tree on your property, you had to plant 3 more. And they didn't have to be on your property. They could be other places around the community, and that was nice because then trees could be planted in parks, or they could be planted around civic buildings. But it was a way to multiply the one tree that was gone.
Yeah, that's a good way to go in order to fix the pollution problem that we're having today in the world.
And it helps with shade, and it helps with, people just feel refreshed being around trees.
Yeah, because according to scientists, the reason we're having the global warming today is because we have carbon dioxide that are going into the atmosphere, and those carbon dioxide, they trapping heat. They're trapping heat and make it like a blanket, and that blanket trapping the heat and warm the atmosphere.
That's right. It's dangerous for so many parts on the earth, especially the polar caps.
Exactly.
So the trees can help counter that.
Exactly. So as the trees are not there, they are not enough, to absorb those carbon dioxide. That is why we have in the global warming today. But if we plant a tree, each of us plant one tree, that will change the planet again. We will save the
Definitely
planet.
make a difference.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to work with youth on climate change and the climate crisis. It was a polar bear rescue operation group, and we were teaching the kids what kinds of things can you do to save the planet, and that was always our emphasis.
Yeah.
Just do one thing, like turn the lights off, take a
Exactly.
shorter shower,
Exactly.
plant one tree. If everybody does that, it does make an impact.
Exactly. I hope you guys decide one day to plant only one tree. If you plant one tree
At least one tree.
at a time, we will change the planet and we will save our planet. This is the only place that we live right now, this comfortable place that we live in, need to be saved. So plant a tree and cooperate with nature. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being
My
here
pleasure.
today.
It's really enjoyable. Thank you so much.
It was a very pleasant conversation with you. I really enjoyed to have you here.
Love to come back another time. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I hope you guys enjoy our show tonight, and I want to thank you for your participation. If you want us to discuss important subject, please send us a message. And remember, it is never too late to achieve greatness if you never give up. Thank you, and I will see you soon.
Coming up next week, our subject for discussion will be the truth about success and happiness, with special guests Steve Todd, Diego Knight, John Coleman, and Francesca Freedom.